Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Uxtsuki. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to figure it out what you should or you could draw, because we have anything in the universe and even things that does not exist in this universe to draw, to illustrate. How can we decide or where should we go and so on. I just wanted to mark that this is pretty broad and maybe even sensitive topic, because there are a lot of answers, there are a lot of ways to solve this problem. Sometimes when you offer solution for certain problems, people actually get mad at it. So I will just try to make everything like neutral and answer this smoothly. The first option you actually have is by necessity. And how to make the necessity? Well, you might be contracted by someone like commissions or full-time in a company. Obviously is a little bit more abstractive, but I think the best way to create necessity, to create pixel art, is actually make games. So I support that pixel artists actually become game developers, even if it is just for fun and very easy and simple games. But I do support people into create and make games, because now they have the necessity to create, for example, icons, game sprites, VFX, backgrounds, and so on. So I think the necessity, mainly in this case by creating your own games, is a good idea. The second option is follow some social media profiles, such as there is Pixel Dailies. I think it is the most remarkable one for pixel art, but for example there are some outside of this niche that we work with. For example, there is these daily objects, I think Twitter and Blue Sky profiles that you could totally follow it, and they actually offers a really great range in different objects. Even though chance that you use every single one of them into your project are low, they offer different objects. So I think it is totally valid one. Third is to use galleries. I showed you in the previous video. We have the ArtStation to get inspired, Pixel Joint to get inspired, Low Spec, and there are other pixel art galleries. For example, there is pixel art that you could scroll and try to make things that you saw there, or they challenge you and so on. Fourth, we have the possibility of using random words generators. There is a huge number of sites that generate random things. So you might, for example, generate a random number and generate a random word and actually draw the amount of times that word, for example. It's totally free. But the idea of using random word generator, to be honest, I really like this idea. Last but not least, I create a technique, like I create a workflow in order to figure out what I should draw next, and I'm really happy with the result. All right, so let me introduce. I call this technique knowledge galaxies, and in what it consists. Imagine we have a subject, so any subject, for example laptop. The laptop is actually an object, for example. In technology objects, we have the most generic category. Here is the local galaxy, or the most generic approach of things in the universe. So we have food, plants, man-made, landscapes, tile map, space / universe, weapons / tools, humanoids, portraits, animals, objects, icons / UI / symbols, minerals, liquids / fluids, undiscovered / inexistent / concepts / myth / fantasy / religion, visual effects, and verbs. You may ask, but isn't weapons or tools man-made? Well, kinda, but you can be very specialized in weaponry and tools creation, for example, and make other type of man-made things, such as vehicles or structures, architectures, and so on. Object as well is separate from man-made, because they are just two main objects. And alright, we have this local galaxy. Now let me talk about the galaxies. So what is galaxy? Subdivisions, subcategorization inside of each local galaxy group. For example, in foods we have fast food, French food, Japanese food, Brazilian food, Indian food, and so on. In plants, we have trees, fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains. On man-made, we have industries, machines, buildings, sci-fi, steampunk, solar punk, nuclear punk, vehicles, architecture, structures, landscapes. We have hills, mountains, river, oceans, plains, ravine, farm, lake, puddle, biomes. On tile map, actually, it's basically any game territory or biome or room. For example, in Castlevania, we have a lot of rooms, for example. Each room may have a different tile map, for example. In space slash universe, we have galaxies, nebulae, black holes, planets, stars, systems. In weapons slash tools, we have blades, guns, cannons, bombs, tanks, staffs, bows, shields, armor, wrenches, and etc. So we have a little bit more specialization of each local galaxy or each category. So as I said, we have a local galaxy group as food, plants, man-made, landscape, tile map, space slash universe, weapons slash tools, humanoids, portraits, animals, objects, icons, UI, symbols, minerals, liquids, fluids, undiscovered, inexistent concepts, myth, fantasy, religion, visual effects, and verbs. And in each galaxy, we have this subject itself. So for example, towels, keys, for example, would be props that is inside of objects. There are some that is not exactly a new things. For example, portraits is actually any close-up image of anything, so anything can be a portrait. So this is an exception, such as tile map and icons, UI things, and symbols, because actually a lot of things that is in the other local galaxies actually is inside of this. So far we have local galaxy groups. We have the galaxy that is a subdivision of each local galaxy groups. And we have the subject. The subject is a system. So our solar system is one subject, for example. The fish, for example. Fish is in this case a subject that are solar systems. So fish, that is an aquatic animal. Aquatic animals is a bit more broad category. So this is a galaxy. And aquatic animals is actually inside of a bigger broad category. That is animals. And animals is the local galaxy group. And the solar system or the subject may be even very more specific. So for example, I may want a green fish or a pink fish or an electric eel or an octopus and so on. A tuna, or even more specific, such as with adjectives. In the verbs case, actually adverbs, right? So actually raining is a subject. Raining acid is a more specific one. And I call these specific subjects as stars, alright? We have stars, we have systems, we have galaxies, and we have local galaxy groups. So in these, a lot of categories, how to pick one. I try to get a random subject, even it is the same thing that I said yesterday. So for example, if I said frog yesterday and frog today, it doesn't matter, because after this I try to pick a random subject, such as for example objects. So even though I picked frog yesterday, I am able to pick another local galaxy group that is not the same that I picked yesterday. But even if I picked the same thing, for example, yesterday I picked frog and I picked objects, and today I do the same thing. I try to pick a random galaxy. So objects, I try to go props, and I try to not pick the same thing as yesterday. So in each stage, so the random subject, the picking category, and picking the galaxy, I have 3 opportunities so far in order to pick a different thing that I didn't created art of it, and I try to draw it. Like if it is my first time drawing that subject, I will just try to make this subject. But if it is the second time, I try to make a specific version of this subject, so it is a star. And if I already did a specific version of this subject, so a star for it, now I try to mix galaxy. So for example, I will mix keys with frogs. I will try to mix liquids or fluids with plants and so on. So I try to mix more and more until I get basically very creative mixes. All right, you are able to set some constraints. I call it black holes, so such as the palette, colors, canvas size, animations, perspective, and style. But it's just recommended if you want. I wouldn't force this like every week or once a day, because actually it's better just improve in a certain subject rather than put a lot of challenges and not drawing something. I also have a log, like in my case a text file that I write how many times I made that subject. So for example, frogs is my most used subject. I really made a lot of frogs so far, and probably my expertise will be drawing frogs, you know. So that is it. I hope this was useful in certain way. This is the way that I picked my subject with this galaxy knowledge idea. It fits my necessities, and maybe you want to adapt it, but with random words get inspired in social medias or any other sites is enough for you. Go for it. All right. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.